What's up, Capoeira Nation? Welcome back to the Capoeira Experience Podcast. Thank you so much for being part of the Capoeira community, being connected with the podcast, being connected with the community. Don't forget to support your class, your teachers, and your community around if you can to travel. If you can travel right now, I know we're in the middle, still in the pandemic, but once you can travel, make sure you support everything in your friends around you and the Capoeira community. That's why always say, we cannot be a community if we don't support the community and we don't part and stay connected with the community. And today I have a special guest because uh, I like the people that are connected with capoeira, but also everything around capoeira. And if you don't know, capoeira is an influence and has been influenced by many aspects around capoeira, dances, culture, and of course capoeira is not religion, but it's also been part of influence with the religion. It's a lot of mixed in there. It's a big part of our lot of really nice stuff in there, and I'm very happy to bring to the podcast and bring to you somebody with knowledge, with other connections outside of capoeira that are connected with capoeira. So I met this guest a while ago. We met, I believe, in New York the first time, but then we met again in North Carolina in the Suacas event. Super. I always tell you guys, it's one of my top events and has so much fun. I had the energy was to a roof and definitely super high recommended to go to North Carolina to these events. And then before make it that much intro, please let me introduce you to Monitora Cigana. How you doing?
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah,
I'm
course,
great.
of course, and finally got the connection that because we both busy and schedules and it's been a little bit tricky, but finally have you here and super happy to have you here to share your experience.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited and also a little bit nervous.
Hey.
Just full disclosure.
Yes. Just imagine that we're going to do like a samba dance.
Yeah, right. Oh, I still get nervous dancing samba. That's for sure.
Hey, that's funny because it's funny because I always tell my students, like, because one time they asked me, like, hey, do you ever get nervous when you buy in the hot dog? It's like, man, every single time.
Every time.
It just I don't show it. I just keep doing it, but inside I'm shaking.
Yeah, it means you're alive. It means you care.
True.
Yeah.
In person in the moment because you're trying to like make it happen and try to like, and it's so much going on at that second. Many eyes watching you, many people looking at you, and it's just like, you try to do it good.
Yeah, you have. I mean, there's a lot going on. Being mindful of the music, the energy, the people, and then the performance of it all. Because capoeira is a martial art, but it's also performative in a way.
Totally.
Yeah,
because there's like little patterns that we follow, and then the timing, the rhythms, and then can be all over the place. You have to be present at the moment.
Yeah.
And then for people to get to know you, what your social media so people can find you there?
Yes, my social media is at Go Cigana on Instagram, and on Facebook it's just Adriana Blanco. And there's a link tree on my bio where you can connect with classes and the studio that my husband and I have, and the dance company and entertainment company, and cultural like awareness and education company, the North Carolina Brazilian Arts Project. And then lastly, my personal page, because I'm a clinical social worker and a movement mindful mover and healer, the Resilience Within. So you can connect with all of those different ways with me if you would.
Oh, cool. I didn't know you were part of the healer part. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. I'm a clinical social worker. My educational background is a master's in social work.
That's awesome. That's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. What would be like a short story of your capoeira when you started, and then we will make later on the connection with the samba. How that happened.
I was trying to figure out like which capoeira story I should share, and if it should be like inspiring or embarrassing or what, but I'll probably just share an embarrassing one because that's just real and probably more representative of my capoeira trajectory.
Yeah.
But I started capoeira. Actually, I saw it for the first time. I was studying an undergrad in college, international affairs, and in my Portuguese class in college, they showed they were talking about different cultures in Brazil, and they showed it was like a tourist video or something of Salvador, Bahia, and I was like, I don't know what those people are doing. They were like doing flips in the sunset on the beach, and I was like, I cannot do a flip, but I would love to be on the beach in the sunset, moving around like that, whatever that is. And so I ended up studying abroad there, and my host mom was really cool, and she took me to the capoeira studio, like right down the street. I was in Salvador, and I was a mess, and she took a million pictures of me. While before cell phones had good pictures, it was like those flip phones.
With
the flip phone, they are blurry, and it's just me falling down the whole time. She thought it was hilarious. And then it was with Gingamundo in Salvador.
Cool.
I was there for a little bit, and they gave me the apelido Princesa, and I was very angry about that name, but I accepted it.
Why?
And then when I went back to DC after studying abroad, and I took kind of a break from capoeira because I was, in college and stuff.
Yeah.
I started looking at classes with the Capoeira Malays, which is actually like my real capoeira home, Capoeira Malays.
Cool.
Morcego, who at the time was like a yellow-orange cord. He's probably going to get mad at me. But anyway, Messi Curisco was visiting. It was like one of his second or third visits.
Oh, cool.
And I was very confident, and I was like, hello, my name is Princesa. You think you have a capoeira nickname, but you don't. So I was not allowed to use that nickname, and I was kind of happy about it. But eventually I just and this is now a long story, but I ended up getting Cigana, gypsy, because of my friend Professor Taturana from Capoeira Brazil, because I was going to school in DC, but I live in North Carolina. I'm from North Carolina, so I'd come back to North Carolina, and I would train with the group here, which was Capoeira Brazil.
Oh, cool.
And I was these earrings.
Oh, nice.
When I walked into class, and I had my hair down, and he said I looked like a Cigana. And so
that's funny.
That's why I have that name.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what year did you start it? What year was that when you saw capoeira and all that?
Now I'm gonna see how old I am now.
Hey.
It must have been 2005. Yeah.
Oh, dang, nice. Okay.
One time. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's what, 10, 12 years, something like that?
More than that, 13. I can't
13,
really
yeah.
count, but it's been off and on.
Yeah.
As everyone says, who's been training for a long time, getting pregnant and stuff. It's hard to keep it up, but it's always been a part of my heart. It's always been something that I've never stopped being involved, even though I haven't been able to train as hard as I've wanted to the past couple years.
Yeah, for sure. And when does that the connection between Samba and capoeira? When you first time you saw Samba, you're like, man, I really want to learn about this, and I really like this.
Yeah, actually that happened right away. It happened right away because I was so blessed my first capoeira experience was in Salvador, in Bahia.
Nice.
And so you just can't escape it. They would have Samba de Roda, they would have the rodas, the sexta-feira rodas, the Friday night rodas. And there was a beautiful woman, capoeirista. Her nickname was Sambadeira. I'm trying to remember what her actual name was, but we all called each other by our nicknames. I don't know what name her parents gave her. But she, just her samba, just the samba de roda, I didn't really fully understand. But they started explaining, what it was. And I'd been to São Paulo, and I'd seen it being danced at, bars and clubs and concerts, but the way they were doing it, and it was samba de roda in the context of capoeira, which is different from traditional samba de roda when people are wearing skirts. And
cool. Okay.
So the way I was exposed to it was within the context of capoeira. So after they would play some samba, the capoeira roda, they would play samba de roda. So that's how I first saw it and first actually really fell in love with it.
Nice. And is around there when you made the connection to samba de roda, or you kind of start getting into studying the dance,
I didn't really start studying the dance years later, mostly because I didn't quite have the opportunity to do so. There weren't any
Okay.
teachers that were really available. And, my study abroad experience was as long as that, that was like 5 months. And, we were so busy with all the other stuff we had to do, but there weren't, I just think at that time, and I could be so wrong, so I don't want to offend anyone, but I did not know of any place where I could go take a Samba class, because Samba is such a part of, African Brazilian culture. It's like their day to day. So it's like you don't really
Yeah.
teach class because you just do it because you live it. And so
That's
I'm
okay.
sure there were some classes. If there were probably more for tourists and whatnot. But the way I started to learn it was just like going out with capoeira friends and going to, Pelourinho, and they would have like pagode, people would be playing the
Oh,
tantan, or just like
cool.
at a bar. And then the music, you just feel it, and
Yeah.
just watching and sort of copying and being a mess. But I didn't get to study it until years later. I got to study it a little bit with Sonia Pessoa in DC, in Washington D.C. She would teach classes at the Malays Academy, and she taught. Looking back, I didn't know then, but I think it was more samba afro at that point.
Oh, cool.
And then moving back to North Carolina, I connected with a woman who had a dance company here in Charlotte called Movimentos de Samba. Her name is Ia Campbell. And that was Samba no Pé, which is the samba from Rio. And I'd
Okay.
never been to Rio, and that's a completely different style. And that's the one that
Oh,
people think
wow.
samba, they think feathers, but that's not necessarily, and carnival, and that's not necessarily really how samba started.
Huh.
It really started with samba de roda. And anyway, so I already kind of knew the basic step, and she cleaned me up and train me up and everything. And I started doing shows with her. And then that's when the deep studying started. And I focused more on samba no pé, because samba is kind of like capoeira, and that, you have contemporánea, you have regional, you have Angola. It has even more styles,
Yeah.
in my understanding. So you kind of have to pick one at first, right?
Okay.
You
Yeah. Yeah.
can't just do like train Angola one day a week and then train regional one day a week. You have to. So I really focused on samba no pé, the very particular style that comes from Rio and also São Paulo, and that's associated with the way they think of pagode and the way that they manifest their carnival in those parts of Brazil.
Oh, cool. So is I didn't know that was called Samba Jipe. Is it Samba
Samba no
Jipe?
pé.
No pay. Okay.
Samba no pé.
Is and that's when the sambista wears the high heels and feathers and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool. I
I
didn't know
would
that.
say, I mean, different people in different parts of Brazil are going to have different opinions, but this is just
Yeah.
based on what I was taught, what I've been exposed to. So it's not necessarily the only truth. There are a lot of
Yeah.
different truths because it's an oral tradition, and it's people's culture. It's going to change and be interpreted differently.
For sure.
But samba no pé, when people talk about samba no pé, most of the time they are referring to the way, a style of dance that where the feet are a little bit closer together, and folks who identify as more femme come up onto the balls of their feet, either
Okay.
because they're wearing heels or they're just dancing barefoot, but on the balls of their feet. But everybody knows that
Oh.
samba comes from dancing barefoot and flat-footed.
Huh.
Those are the roots of it. But it's kind of like in the United States, how there was, after slavery was abolished, there was a lot of displacement of African Americans, and a lot of folks were forced to move and decided to move up north, and they spread out a little bit more from the south. Similar things happened in Brazil. So a lot of folks moved from Bahia, and they moved to Rio, they moved to São Paulo, so they brought their samba with them.
Yeah.
But the culture changes depending on where you go and depending on your environment. So the samba changed, the music
Yeah.
changed.
Yeah. He adapt to whatever environment it was.
Mm-hmm.
Like capoeira, pretty much is like, and again, all that connection is so cool to see the connection of so many little elements on other cultures or other expressions
Yeah.
to capoeira, and it's really cool to see that.
Yeah. Yeah, something that's really cool that I thought would be interesting to share on this podcast, and it's not, again, like, I'm not a dance historian. I just I take my time to learn the history as best as I can, so I can transmit that responsibly to my students, because I'm not African Brazilian. But the culture and the story, it's so important.
For sure, totally.
I'm just so grateful that it's expanded my view. It's made me challenge and unlearn a lot of BS that, we're taught in these systems here in the United States. It's been such an amazing challenge. And it just gives you such a more complete worldview. So, there's that. But something that I thought would be cool is in terms of Samba Nupe, when we think of Carnival, like the biggest party on earth, when they have the huge parades, right, in Rio. So there's in the beginning of the parade for every Samba school, and the Samba school is really just a community. It's like a neighborhood. And it's like people come together and they organize themselves, with Samba. And Capoeira is a big part of that too. Like I'm sure a lot of your listeners, that Capoeira was illegal. Samba was also illegal for the very same reasons. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. The laws of vadiação and all that stuff applied to Samba as well. Because it was something that was done in the streets. And Samba is a music and a rhythm that is in resistance to oppression, just as much as Capoeira is. The classic songs, you're going to hear a lot of Samba songs that are also Capoeira songs. Maybe they were Samba first, or they were sung in that way, and then they were transformed into a Capoeira song because they're so close to each other.
Yeah.
And they're so linked to African Brazilian spirituality too, right? So Samba would be danced after a candomblé ceremony as a form of release and joy and party.
That's so cool. I didn't know
Samba was created by, it's women, right? It's women in their kitchens using a plate and a knife and the beats, played in that way.
No,
but
way.
Anyway,
that's cool.
I'm digressing a little bit. But
no, you're
what
good.
I wanted to share is in the beginning of the parade, if anyone has seen the parades in Sao Paulo or in Rio, they have what's called the Mestre Sala and the Porta Bandeira. So the couple that is in the beginning of the parade, they have the huge flag of the school.
Okay.
It's representing the community, the school, and they're dancing in circles and circles and circles with the flag. If you haven't seen it, you must Google or YouTube Porta Bandeira and Mestre Sala. The Mestre Sala is the more masculine identified person, and they're doing this really fancy footwork all the way around the woman carrying the flag and dancing with the huge skirt in circles and circles. And the Mestre Salas historically were capoeiristas. And all their footwork you can see in sort of the manjinga that shows up in a capoeirista that has that sauce, and it's not just golpe. They have that footwork that's like so dope. And historically Mestre Salas were capoeiristas also because the Samba school is a community center. They were like the protectors of the Samba schools.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So I thought that would be interesting to share on this podcast. There's so many connections. Of course there are, it's not it's not like, oh, look what we've discovered. It's like, no, it's been there. It's been there all along.
That's so cool. I didn't know that connection is like, again, is I know there was some sort of like connection between Samba and Capoeira, but like you said, is and that's also why I wanted to have you on the podcast, because you have knowledge about those connections that, is not really share a lot in the Capoeira community. We just hear Makulele, or we just heard the religions part, but there's other aspects that we're forgetting too, which is Samba. And first time I heard that it was illegal, and then all that connection with Capoeira, it was really cool. It's really cool.
Yeah. There's a great, there's someone that one of my teachers, his name is Pablo Guerrero, and he's been to the United States before. He really is a historian of Samba, and he's a dancer, and he lives in Rio. I don't think he's from Rio, but he is, just so knowledgeable about all things Samba and all things history. In fact, on another podcast that I was on, he participated in that podcast as well.
That's so cool.
About talking about history, because everything, all of this is I've learned from him. I've learned from my other teacher, Alex Coutinho, who's a director of Passistas in Rio, and so many other amazing teachers that I've had the ability to learn from. Vera Passos, she's the one who has shared Samba de Roda with me, and many people. She's incredible. Anyway, these are definitely people that, like, I am not the source at all, but these are the people that have transmitted and shared their knowledge with me, which has just enriched my experience with Capoeira and Samba so much, because when you see all those connections, it all makes sense, you feel it. Yeah.
It's the same with the Yoruba religion. It's like
Mhm.
when once, because I got into capoeira, and then that's how I met the Yoruba religion. And then
Right.
I was like, man, all this is connected. There's a like a piecing me how you say, miss piecing, miss
Missing piece.
missing piece, yes, the missing piece of this puzzle that was getting from capoeira, and then you create that connection. Is like is totally different connection and different perspective too.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can just, it's like the more you learn about it, the more you fall in love with it. I feel like the more just wonder and awe
Yeah,
you get to experience about just humanity and how humans, how we just have this capacity to grow and evolve and connect and make so much meaning. And
yeah,
especially in the face of, you know, of oppression of the particular type of, you know, the enslavement of people in Brazil, and then you can take it a step further and you can connect it to other diasporic practices. You know,
totally,
you can
yeah,
see the similarity between samba and punta, like from the Garifuna people, you know, in Honduras and in Guatemala,
yeah,
and it's just like it's just endless,
yeah,
and it's so cool. Yeah,
yeah. Same like in Venezuela, like joropo,
tambor.
tambor, and all those kind of stuff. Is like, man,
Yeah,
I just thinking like when you mentioned tambor, like I think back about the when you guys had the performance with the tambor venezolano of the guys. It's just so cool to see
yeah.
about those connections.
That's part of the reason why, you know, Juan Pablo and I, Monitor Piruca,
Hmm.
and I love when we do create events. We want to make as clear and as easily accessible as possible these connections that I think have been purposefully been hidden, you know, from us because of, you know, white supremacist culture, because of dominant culture,
Yeah.
not, you know, and and I think that the more we learn about this stuff, the more unity and connection, you know,
Oh
acknowledgement of
yeah.
things that happened in the past, and then being able to move forward and seeing just the beauty of the human spirit. And you can see the way you move your hips and tambor, and the way the
Yes.
tambor is set up.
Yeah.
The tambor venezolano is so much how Samba Jihada works as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. And you have that like pursuing of the other dancer, and then it's a mutual persuasion, and then
yeah,
it's same like samba. When I see samba now that you mentioned that connection is actually true.
yeah. And then the circle, right?
Yeah.
Which you
Yeah. The
connected
circle.
all,
Yeah.
just like the Hada, the Samba Jihada, Capoeira Hada, like La Rueda that you have in
Yeah.
Tambor, all of that is, you know, that's African. That's the sacred space that's been carved out for that moment, for that
Yeah.
ritual, for that reenactment or that enactment.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. The
and
drums, the I don't know, alabanza, like how is the translation in English, but when you respect the drums, and you present
yeah,
yourself to the drums and all that.
yeah, alabanza. How would you say that in English? Yeah, like the honoring, I guess,
Yeah,
like
honoring. Yeah.
praising, yeah,
Yeah.
of the drums, right, like being conscious of them as the leaders, as the communicators.
Yeah, exactly. That would be the perfect word. Communicators in between that energy out there, that however people want to call it, to us that are performing in the center.
Yeah,
And again, it comes back to the beating bows, right? When Google pay the beating bow, is exact same thing. You just honoring those that were behind on that on and leading the Hada, and leading
hmm,
the our performance inside the Hada.
yeah, yeah,
Is
yeah,
it's really cool to see those connections, to be honest.
yeah. I think it's really special, and I think that I think for capoeiristas, I mean, this is just my opinion. I think it's like part of why many of us choose capoeira is because of its richness in terms of culture, and
Yes.
how and I think that it's important, even though maybe someone doesn't want to perform samba or like take a class and stuff, but to be aware of it, or to try to feel it in your body and how it's going to change your game. I mean, I know because my son will be 3 in March. Like when I was pregnant, I was like not one of those women that was like able to like train her capoeira. I was just
Yeah.
like, oh, I died.
Entire. Yeah.
I just I couldn't. I had to
Well,
sleep.
he came out with all the energy that he got out.
Yeah, he took
Yeah.
it. He took all of
Yeah.
it from me.
Yeah. No,
But what I
Paulito
could
is so
do,
much energy.
Yeah. What I could do was practice my samba a lot when I was pregnant. And then since I've had him, because schedules and, Juan teaches and I teach, it's like I never get to go train capoeira for myself like I used to. He and I met and I was training like 4 or 5 times a week, and that's how it used to be until boom, I got pregnant. So I couldn't train, and I haven't been able to train the same way just because of, life and taking care of my son and working and stuff. But my samba, I can train because you can do like a little bit right here, work on your footwork here, work on your like swingy and all that kind of stuff. And now that I'm starting to be able to come back to train, we've got like a babysitter for Thursday nights and we're figuring out Monday nights. I'm noticing like, okay, my ponchi isn't as strong. Like some of my flodeos aren't as strong. I can't hold my handstand, but my footwork and my vision and my rhythm and my connection is different.
That's
in
so
a way.
Cool.
It's like it connects and it's easier. So it's like practicing your dance, practicing your samba, learning the feeling the rhythm in just this really different way. That has been such a gift and such a transformation that I don't know if I ever would have experienced that had my body had to stop practicing macaco for like 3 years and focus on like listening and moving and expression. That is something that, I think it's worthwhile for everyone to take some time to work on that. And you can do that with your samba. If you learn some samba, you can apply that to your capoeira.
Yeah, it's pretty cool because it's the same like I remember Jill was telling on the samba workshop, it was like the jinga. The jinga it comes from the dancing, the swinging of the person and the way of the malandro and used to move their body and all that, and then they apply that to capoeira, and then again that connection is so cool to see. And when I saw Jill and it's just watching her speaking and the passion that she puts into her words, like, I was getting goosebumps the whole time.
I know
the energy that she puts into that.
Yeah, Mestra Jill Costa out of Chicago. She was a rainha, a queen for Paraíso do Tuiuti, and I think some other schools too in Rio, like a queen of the drums, an actress. And she really has a beautiful connection to the archetype of malandro. And, as capoeiristas, we know about malandros, malandragem, and it's that swing and it's that sort of maldade.
Yeah.
And that is a huge archetype in samba. It's a huge archetype in like umbanda, and a huge archetype in capoeira, right? All of it is so connected. You can't separate it. It's all there.
Totally. I when during the party on that you guys, I think it was the second day when the stage and you guys had a performance of dances. I got the chance to talk to her, and I was like, because she's right here, she's in Chicago, she's like 3 hours away. I was like, I want to have you in one of my events one day. He's just like her energy, and I think she may cry a bunch of people there.
Oh yeah, we all cried so much, full of goosebumps, and she just has so much knowledge and so much experience.
Yes.
And not just like in living it and having it be her culture, but in teaching it and sharing it in this way, that storytelling that she uses is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's really cool. And do you think samba or one other dance expression will benefit capoeira?
Yes, without a doubt. And I think like samba is growing. More and more people are learning it. I know in my capoeira trajectory, I always wanted to train it. I would go to events and there would be one samba class, and I would just be so disappointed because I just always wanted more. And I knew that there was more, but it's really hard to find.
Yeah.
And I think in capoeira events, my hope is that they put just as much emphasis and just as much honor and respect to the people that are bringing like the samba afro or samba no pé or samba de roda or dança afro or whatever it is that they're doing, and that they really clarify to the students and the participants that like this is deep training. You know, like if you're committed to capoeira, open your eyes and make it accessible. So it's cool that you're thinking of inviting Jill. You know, she is a mestra. There's so much knowledge. And I think sometimes even myself, you get surprised. You're like someone who's like a samba professor, a dancer, a mestre, and you think that they don't know about capoeira, but it's like, of course they know about capoeira.
Yeah.
They probably know more than you do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's not their focus. But like it's also connected, and I think that once we can, it gives more opportunity for sharing stories and sharing culture, and I think it would just deepen the possibility of enjoying your capoeira more.
Yeah.
By adding that into your practice.
Yeah, it's the same like you mentioned before. Like even you didn't practice a lot of other florellos or other stuff, but once you start practicing your footwork and then dance and the connection with the rhythm, the timing, it gave you different perspective for your capoeira now, and it's really cool to see that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you have to, if you know, as someone who's been doing capoeira for a long time, I'm sure you can say the same thing. Your body is going to change. Your body is not going to be able to do what it could do when I was 22 years old and I just started. And, you know, like, so you have to grow, and your capoeira has to grow and develop, not slow down, but just grow and develop and honor whatever season or rhythm your body's in. And Samba is like that too, because Samba is so vast. By connecting all of those elements, you can enjoy your capoeira and mature in your capoeira more, and not like punish your body thinking that it's you know, just about the big movements and stuff.
And do you think the earliest the better for like somebody, for example, like you've been traveling a lot for Brazil, and you have a lot of like so just to put on a real plate, South America is rich in culture. From Mexico all the way to Argentina is so many expressions, culture, dances, capoeira, and all that stuff. And of course, America, yes, but it's a mix of stuff. So, and as an American that hasn't been exposed to those kind of dances, how you think the earlier the best for them once they get into capoeira and exploring all the
But I mean, I think it depends on what kind of American you're talking about, because like, you know, it just depends on someone's ancestralidad, you know, like their ancestors.
Very good point. Yeah.
Like African Americans, or if you have, I don't know, like indigenous Americans, or you know, Asian Americans, depending on where they're from, they're gonna have a different, like, you know, dance culture in their DNA that even especially African Americans, like you will see so many similarities between rhythmically with like hip hop and dance movements, different types. And you know, jazz, like the playing of jazz, the improvisation of jazz, and the dance of jazz too has so much. I mean, that's an African American art form, and you will see so many similarities. So I think that just connecting to any kind of dance and movement culture that allows for improvisation, I think is probably gonna be the most beneficial. So wherever you're, you know, wherever you're from, wherever your people were from, or whatever you grew up around, I think the beauty of Samba and Capoeira is the concept of improvisation. And I think in my understanding, I think that that's something that's very uniquely African from Africa. But I would say, yes, like the more dance you do, if you have salsa, if you have, you know, if you have samba, if you have like cumbia classes, like take them, are going to help your capoeira, like 100%.
That's so crazy. It's funny how like, and at the end, everything's going to be connected, because you know, like those enslaved were like brought all that knowledge and culture in such a rich thing.
And it's like Africa's like la cuna de la humanidad, right? It's like that's where humans came from, and where like culture like stemmed from there. So there's that connection too. But yes, I would say if someone is struggling with connecting to the music and the rhythm, I would say maybe, or you know, or like feeling capoeira, I would say stop kicking the bag and get out of your head and go to a dance class and just be, you know, take it seriously, but have like relax and don't worry about being perfect, and take probably not like a ballet class, because that's not about improvisation, but
a little too rigid for us.
So take a salsa class, salsa,
Yeah, any dance, even hip hop, hip hop will
Oh my God,
go
so
to
totally take a hip hop class.
to loosen
That
up.
will give you so much, like talk about like expression. We
Yeah,
always admire capoeiristas' expression. They're like, bah,
that's
bah.
true.
Like
That's true.
you are gonna, where does that come from, right? Yeah, like most cities and towns have a hip hop class. Most cities and towns will have, no, I mean many of them will have like a salsa class, not
Yeah.
ballroom, not ballroom,
No,
but
that's completely different. Yeah.
that's a different thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right,
Yeah, yeah.
right.
But it's really cool to see those connections again. And also back in Venezuela, uh I was doing jongo too with
Whoa.
yeah, with one of the capoeira masters that was there, and he introduced to us the jongo. And then the music behind the jungle is just like relaxing, and it's so, again, it's connected to all this kind of stuff. And
Mhm.
I was doing makulele, I was doing other stuff, but like jungle was the one that was like, man, this is so like capoeira and yoruba, and it's so much connection with there, and it's really really cool to see and get connected to that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just like noticing your excitement and like passion when talking about when you made connections, and my excitement and my passion when I made connections. Like, you imagine, I think that, there's still a lot of like some of the complicated and like harmful politics that we're exposed to a lot. They show up in capoeira too.
Yeah,
Capoeira isn't, because it has so many different people involved in it, which I think is great. But I think that the more that we connect and make these connections, the more open people's eyes are going to be. Even in the capoeira community, there'll be less discrimination and less harm and less
totally.
appropriation and less problems with like hierarchy and all that kind of stuff, because this is so pure, right? Just like
Yeah,
witnessing your excitement about how deep this culture can go,
yeah,
it opens up your eyes and your heart, I think, to just
yeah.
do better in
Yeah,
general.
yeah, and again, being connected with the community, and you know, talk to a community, and talk to different knowledge, and uh, forgetting all the hierarchy thing, on be like, I'm on top, I'm not gonna talk to beginners. It's just like, come on,
Yeah,
man,
yeah, yeah,
we
yeah.
gotta
Right.
share the knowledge. And I
Mhm.
remember how one of my guests here that, a knowledge is not worth if he's not shared.
Yeah.
Just keep it to yourself. Then, like, for what is the whole point? Is the
Mm.
And also that's the other thing about the podcast, because I want to bring people here to listen different perspective, and I want that connection. And I feel like we are connected, but we are not connected. It's just, I feel like there's a missing piece in somewhere. I don't know, but
Mhm.
we will find it. I'm pretty sure as a community we can find it.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
love the title of your podcast, like the Capoeira Experience, because
Thanks.
it's so different for everybody. Everyone has their own experience of
Oh
capoeira
yeah,
in
totally.
capoeira, and getting little windows into different people's experiences is special, I think.
Yeah, yeah, and I tell here everybody, I don't care if you have one class in capoeira, that is still an experience. You can say, like, what was your first capoeira experience? What do you think of the class? What can we get better as instructors or teachers, maestras, or whatever, or maestras? And
Mhm.
how can we get better in that way? And connecting with dance, how can we extract information from there for us
Yeah,
to improve our capoeira?
yeah. I think I'm so thankful for capoeira, because capoeira is what made me confident that I could dance, because I didn't
Nice.
grow up being a trained dancer at all. Like I mean, I took ballet classes and when I was a little girl, and then they made me be in the Nutcracker, and I hated it. And I quit because I was not my thing.
Yeah.
But I think that the problem is you'll get a lot of folks in capoeira who are like, no, I'm just martial artist. Like, I don't want to dance. And they're afraid to dance because they think they have to be like productive with it, or they think that they
Yeah.
do a show, and you
Yeah.
don't. Dance is natural with all of us. Like, if you watch a baby move to music,
Yeah.
all
Totally.
babies from all cultures, from all walks of life, from all parts of the
Yes.
dance is our birthright. And I think that this dominant culture that we live in, a lot of times, especially in the United States, it like shuts it down and
Yeah.
makes it that you can't have it, and that you aren't allowed to express yourself through dance. You feel silly, you feel embarrassed.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah. That's completely true. Yeah.
I think that shows up in our capoeira. And I think and the more that you can just own the fact that you were born with the natural inclination and possibility to connect with music and to move your body, without judgment. I think that's such a powerful thing, and that you don't have to be on, you know, some TV show or on Broadway for your dance to be important, and for
Yeah.
your dance to have meaning, and for you to
Yes.
deserve or have the right to dance and move that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And because sometimes I show people here, like, for me to promote a little bit capoeira. Yeah, oh yeah, this is what I do. And the first thing people say, I don't have rhythm. I don't know how to do that. And then I'm gonna feel silly. Like, no, man, it's not about you being silly. It's just about you have fun, be connected with people. And, you know, it's not for you to compare to anybody.
It's
It's just
so
you.
mental. It's just wild to watch. Like,
100%.
if
Yes.
you go to a capoeira event and you see they have like in the thing, they have like one samba class or one samba afro class or one afro class, you'll see people in there and they're like
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
and they feel silly, and like, you know, it's funny and cute, but part of me is just like, damn, like
Let
it's
it
okay,
go.
like you can
Yeah.
let go, you know, like
Yeah.
let
Yeah.
go,
Yeah.
it'll be okay, like you don't have to, no one cares, like people,
Yeah.
I mean, some people are mean, I guess, but
Yeah.
like let go and let
Yeah.
yourself be taken by this music and by this teacher who's trying to show you to have more awareness and ownership of your own body. That is such a miracle, you know? So I hope in the future to go to a capoeira event and to see more samba classes, more dance, more African Brazilian dance classes offered, and to see people like entregarse to it. And you're not going to be
Yeah.
perfect. You might not be the most amazing technician or have the most mobility here or there, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to see people like feeling it, you know?
Yes, and have fun and just
Yeah.
smiling and totally, yeah, yeah. Because the dance in the workshop we Miss Jill, she I think she mentioned that too. Like, you know, just let it go, let it be, feel the music, and then she started like very slow, and then she built it up, and everybody was having fun,
Yeah.
and also the how the instructor or the master or teacher is teaching at that moment is also
Yeah.
helpful for them to be like, you know, just
Important.
let it be. Yes. And like Mr. Jill, she set it up perfectly because
Yeah,
everybody
she
was having
does.
fun, and she connected with people, and it was really, really cool.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Then any do you have any do you guys have any events coming up that we can invite people and have people over?
We don't necessarily have any that we're very certain of, just because of like the resurgence of COVID cases and stuff.
For sure.
But I do know that well, I mean, we're doing a lot of local festivals here in
Okay.
North Carolina, which is really cool. But I would say that the first weekend in February, and this is not confirmed yet, we participate in a yearly fundraising event for the Latin American Association here, called A Night in Rio,
That's
where
so
we
cool.
have tons of capoeira and samba performances. And usually on that same weekend, we try to invite a couple of capoeiristas to come and teach workshops, and so that
That's
they can
so
also
cool.
perform. But so
Yeah.
we're hopefully in the first weekend in February, if it's safe to do so, we'll be inviting some capoeiristas and maybe even some samba dancers to do like a little mini weekender, not as big as Sua Casa, but something. And it's definitely worth coming to Charlotte to see the show at A Night in Rio, and if we bring some folks to teach class,
Yeah.
outside folks to come through.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And you know, follow social media so you can stay up to date, and you can, if you see the dates, make sure you mark it there, because trust me, those events, when they put events together, they put events together. You know, it's because it's you guys, and that's why I was telling my wife, and I was like, man, I'm definitely coming back, because the passion that you guys put into the events, it gets transmitted through the event, you know,
That's
and
awesome.
everybody I saw there was having fun, and everybody
Good.
respected each other. And I really, really love
Right.
when Peruca brought all the teachers in the back and be like, you know, this is a safe environment for all the students. Let's keep all the students safe. Let's keep everybody together. Let's help each other and keep the energy up. And I think that brought everybody together too.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's a really wonderful thing about him, that, you know, I think just that communication and creating that bond, and that I think that like self-assuredness and that confidence that that we're here because we want to be here and because we love this, and and we have so much to share, and we want to enrich our lives and other people's lives. And so I think that that's why we created the North Carolina Brazilian Arts Project, because we wanted to continue enriching our education in terms of some capoeira and culture. And it was really more for us, like, how can we in an organized way continue to deepen our studies? We can't afford to go to Brazil every year. Like we have to find a way to deepen our studies, and to keep, like, the more you learn about the world or about a culture, about history, the more you learn about life in general.
Totally.
And so we started really more for us. And then when we saw that people wanted to know, people wanted to share, people wanted to be a part of it, we decided, okay, well, we'll do things bigger. We'll share what we've learned. We'll share, all of the amazing master teachers and people that have given their knowledge and shared with us. Like, we want to make that easy for people to get, because it's just so great. Why make it hard?
Totally. And then and also to the more you learn about this connection, the experience of the people, and the knowledge of the people, you also learn how to respect them, and to respect their knowledge, the not just their knowledge, because their knowledge came from somebody else, and that knowledge came from, and it's a chain, and we learn how to respect our ancestors and be like, oh man, it was their struggle make us have fun today, and we need to respect that. And I think it's really
cool we do. Lineage, and putting that, and making that clear for people, making that accessible, because so many of us are, I would say, like, victims of this this whitewashing and brainwashing of history, where we just don't know where these practices come from, or we erase them, or we erase people,
or bring your attention to something else
and repackage it. And so we all are walking around without this, like, truth, and so the more you start to uncover it, at least in one area, and it just so happens to be that, the area that we're talking about is capoeira and samba, it trickles and it starts to widen your eyes and your perception for so many other themes.
And
just become wiser and more aware, and
and it's really cool to see, to also see people and be like, oh man, this, I didn't know this was like this. Oh, look at this. Oh, capoeira is like this. Oh, samba is also like this. And then you start putting pieces together, and then it's cool to see, especially students, when you see them getting the knowledge and be like, falling in love for what you love, passing that information.
I love that too.
Yeah. And to wrap it up, because I know you got Pablito very soon. What would be a single advice for the entire capoeira community?
Advice.
Yeah.
I would say, listen to criticism.
Nice.
Listen to criticism. Take it seriously. Sit with it and slow down.
Yeah.
And I say that now, given all of the things that have come to light in capoeira. Capoeira is not perfect. Nothing is perfect. It's a reflection of humanity as a whole. So when someone has something to share with you about your class, or about the way you said something, and this is more specifically for the hierarchy, right?
Yes.
Listen to criticism. This is for me. Listen to criticism. Take it seriously, and don't have to, like, swallow it and eat it, and, like, let it poison you or anything. But listen to criticism. Watch the brand new beginners when they walk in the door, and how they are in class, and their body language and their face when they leave.
And sometimes, as now that you mentioned that, they're watching the beginners and the new people coming into our class. Sometimes the older we get in capoeira, or the more advanced we get in capoeira, sometimes we forget that we were there one day, and then we were like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't even know what is this.
And it's not even about, like, oh, did I do a good job breaking down meia lua de frente or the gira? It's more about, like, what words did I use, or what tone did I have, or what was my body language like? Did I make this feel like an environment where people can experiment with their bodies and their minds and their hearts and their music and their art? Or did I make this a space that is very uptight and rigid or all about perfectionism? I mean, it depends on what your intention is as a teacher.
Yeah, of course.
But I would say what is coming out right now is that we need to accept all of the different walks of life that come in the doors of capoeira, that are seeking capoeira, and we need to listen to people who are different from us and people who have different perspectives, because they're all worthwhile, no matter what their hierarchy is in capoeira.
Yeah, totally. And it always depends of their experience and then where they came from. Because sometimes somebody can be very extroverted and is going to take class completely different, or somebody can be very introvert and can be totally different class. Yeah. So I'm excited. And I said was that the last question, but actually the last question is when is you guys planning any Sua Casa for next year?
Yeah, we're definitely going to be doing it again. Monitora Riba is she and I have been writing grants, and we're busy trying to see if we can get some some other some sponsorships and some help from other like arts councils and stuff here in Charlotte. And it will most likely be Juneteenth weekend again.
Oh, cool.
So
we'll be there for sure.
That's the hope. Riba is writing all those grants and kind of more in charge of that aspect of it. But we're planning on doing it even bigger next year. So
nice. Well, you guys know that you count on me to be there.
Good. We need you. We need you here with us.
Yeah, and all my students, because I'll drag them with me and be like next time.
Drag them.
Don't say anything, just follow me.
Just come through. We promise it'll be good.
Oh yes. Well, thank you so much for being part of this and sharing your experience and your knowledge on Samba. And there's still so much that we can talk about. We can be here all day. And then for sure we'll do this again, because there's other I will do more research on Samba now that you mentioned a lot of stuff here, and then we'll touch again those points and we'll deep a little bit more on that.
Perfect. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you. And tell everybody we say hi and we'll talk to you soon. Okay, bye.
Ciao.
Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for getting this far. Remember, please subscribe, give us a thumbs up on Facebook or YouTube. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. This is going to help us and help me to get bigger numbers and bigger subscribers so we can give more information. Okay, please, if you're listening, I know you're listening, I know you're watching, please give me a subscribe, give me a like. Okay, I know you're watching right here or listening. All right, have an amazing day. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening every single episode, especially the episode we just did. All right, thank you so much. Peace.